Order, please. This regular meeting of the Joshua Basin Water District Board of Directors for June 18 is now in session. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is here. I pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Determination of a quorum. General Manager Johnson, roll call, please.
President Flowen,
Present.
Director Fick,
Here.
Director Charlesburg,
Here.
Director Short.
Here. And Vice President Doolittle is on an excused absence. And we have a quorum. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
We do have a correction on that, though. And I'm struggling to find where it is. Reports and comments is number 8. The closed session is number 9. And our adjournment, which will be a while from now, is number 10. And those minor corrections included. Did I hear a second on that?
Not yet.
Please.
I'll second it.
Voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Public comments. This designated time is for members of the public to provide comments on any district-related matter, whether appearing on the agenda or not. Under provisions of the Brown Act, the board is prohibited from taking action on items not listed on the agenda. At the discretion of the board president, comments on a particular agendized item may be deferred until that item is heard. Do we have any public comments? Hearing none. General Manager Johnson, is there written, electronic, or voicemail comments?
None to my knowledge.
Thank you very much. Public comment time is now closed. Good afternoon, Kenny.
Nice to see
Good
you.
to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Consent calendar items are expected to be routine and non-controversial to be acted upon by the board at one time without discussion. If a board member would like an item handled separately, it may be removed from the consent calendar, from the consent agenda for separate action. 2 items. One is the draft minutes for the board meeting of June 4. The other is the statutory and regulatory requirement for board adopted salary schedule. Does anybody want to remove one of those items from the consent calendar? Board discussion. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar? Got first. David, motion, Jane.
Yeah.
Seconded. Okay. We have a motion, voice vote. All those in favor of approving the consent calendar? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Hearing none. Motion carried. We've done that. Discussion / action calendar, April 25, check register. Director of Finance, Ann Roman.
Thank you, sir. Good evening to everyone. We do have the April 2025 check register today. This is presented for review and approval. It contains checks, most of which many of the board members have already reviewed and signed before they were released. And the total of this check register, the regular check register, is $403,170.26. The payroll register included is $1,993.41. Utility refunds are $1,110.56, and director's stipends of $2,257.19. I will start going through on, starting on page 13. We'll go through one page at a time, but I'll try to go through a little bit quickly because we do have a robust agenda, it looks like tonight. So starting with the very first transaction on page 13, account temps, we have three payments. There's actually several invoices under each, and that is related to an employee leave of absence. So we have a temp in for that position. We have on this page Amazon Capital Services right in the middle with two steel planters, one rectangular planter, toner, copy paper, external hard drive, emergency strobe lights, pallet packaging, strapping tool, pipe expander tool kit, and a code reader for vehicles. We also have Aquametrics right below the middle with a field logic communicator device, which retrieves up to 45 days of data log from the meters. And inventory 7 1.5-inch meters. And that field logic communicator, I believe, David can confirm this, but I think that's our second one, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And other than that, it looked pretty routine on page 13. Any questions?
I just wondered if you could clarify what the temporary labor was, because we haven't had some for a while.
Yeah, for the customer service representative, one of the customer service representatives has been out.
She's been on maternity leave and we have,
She
yeah,
had her
That's
baby,
what I thought.
right? I heard.
yes. We
Okay.
usually don't talk about those kinds of things.
Okay, but that was it?
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm. That's been,
Was appropriately listed temporary labor.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Anything else on 13? Okay, page 14. We have near about a third of the way down, California Association of Mutual Water Agencies. That's our annual subscription there. We also have Core and Main near the bottom with inventory of 600 feet of copper pipe, 30 meter boxes, 31-inch ankle meter stops, 1,000 feet of polyurethane pipe, and a pullback tool. And we have, let's see, County of San Bernardino Registrar of Voters near the very bottom. That was for our election services back in November, so they're just a little slow to get that. But just so you, I wanted to point that out, we do pay for that, so. Questions on page 14,
How much copper pipe was it?
600 feet.
At the service line from the main to the meter?
Yeah, it's replacement. We use the copper to replace the old poly service.
Good.
the what? Replace the what?
It's called polyethylene pipe.
Oh, okay,
We stand it, they just call it poly. It's that plastic pipe that's.
Yeah. okay.
Okay, I'll move on to page 15. So we have a few reimbursements here. I won't go into those, but we also have a foreshock right above the middle of the page with SCADA maintenance for well 14, as well as the D11 booster station upgrade. Let's see, we have Home Depot credit services near the bottom of this page with a push broom that was purchased, a shovel, grinder blades, saw blades, PVC, reflective tape, Quickcrete concrete mix, gloves, and a 25-gallon spot sprayer. I do see on this page also there are a few advertising invoices that are reimbursable through the MWA grant. And there's also a stale check that was voided. And if we're able to find additional information, we reissued those, and you'll see those when we get to the utilities as well. There'll be quite a few there. Any other questions on page 15?
I'm just curious about the Gemini Group Consumer Confidence Report. What is that?
So we're required to publish a consumer confidence report every year. And so this is a company that has helped us to publish that. So they, it's a nice certain format, a specific format that has to be used for that, and they make a nice copy of that for us. Sarah can probably.
Also known as the annual water quality.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it's not a survey of consumers or something, okay, that's what I wasn't sure what it was.
Yeah, years ago, we used to do that in-house. I think this is a much better solution.
Yeah, they ensure that we make sure that we hit all of the targets when it comes to the regulatory piece.
So we have confidence.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Alrighty, moving on to page 16. At the very top, we have Joshua Tree National Park Association. That is the proceeds that we split from our plant sale. And we also have about a third of the way down Lane Christensen Company, pumping plant maintenance. This is a video log of well 11, well 15. Yeah, 15. Sorry about that. Then we have McCall's meters. That 6-inch flange tube propeller meter, a type of flow meter to measure the volume of water moving through a pipe, and a Modbus circuit board. I don't know if I said that right. We also have Muniquip Social LLC with a Grundfos valve and diaphragm kit, includes replacement parts used to keep certain Grundfos. Grundfos, is that right?
Yeah, folks.
Okay. Dosing pumps working properly. It includes key components that control flow and pressure, helping the pump dose chemicals accurately. And we have on this page, the very bottom, Napa Auto Parts. We purchased some car batteries, wheel seals, axle nut socket, rear disc brakes, oil filters, and fuel filters. Aside from that, it's fairly routine to me. Any questions on 16?
On 16, do we have a dump truck yet?
Not yet.
Yes, we still have.
Oh, we have the old one.
Yeah,
We don't have the new one. That's budgeted. Sorry.
Okay.
I had a, just clarification on the Lane Christensen Company, because we're gonna talk about it later. Maybe for, observers of our meeting, might be good to explain how we spent money on well 15 already.
Okay.
Yeah, back in February, when well 15, it was discovered that the line shaft bearings were going bad. That was causing the leakage. So that requires the well to be pulled. So we contracted with Lane to pull the well. And then once you pull the well equipment out of the well, you do a video log to see the condition of the steel casing. And then when we seen the results of the video log, we did what we call a brush and bail. That's basically brushing the interior of the well casing to knock off all the tuberculation from the rust. So that's what those fees are for the pulling of the well, brushing, bailing, and the video logs.
So this company's gotten to know the well pretty well already.
Yes, no.
Okay, perfect.
Page 17, at the near the top, we have Nielsen Fiber Place. They did some routine AC maintenance at the office shop in well 14. Looking pretty routine on that page. We have our SC fuels. Those are monthly deliveries. Or we pay them every month. They may deliver more often. And at the very top, you'll notice NBS. There we have a little bit of charges for our cost allocation plan, as well as our routine charges for the CMM admin fees that are reimbursed by the assessment district, and our standby admin fees. Aside from that, any questions?
Not one that you might answer. I'm just curious, what does it cost per gallon of gas to this water district when they ship the fuel? Is there any benefit to having wholesale? I would assume there is, because it's bulk loaded.
Yeah, I don't know offhand what the cost per gallon is, but I do know it's cheaper when you buy the bulk. So when we have it delivered to the company, it is a lesser per gallon price.
I can answer that. It's for regular $3.52, for diesel $3.37.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I want to know that our district is thrifty.
and how big are the tanks that are being filled out every month or a couple times a month?
The bulk fuel station we have, I believe, is I believe it's 1,500 gallons diesel
Oh,
and 2,000 unleaded, but I'm not positive. That's what I think it is. Roundabouts.
Just curious.
Yeah, it's,
All right, at the very bottom of page 17, we have our small Southern California Edison invoice. At the top of page 18, we have a large power for pumping invoice. In addition, on page 18, we have some reimbursements to directors. We have our credit cards here. So starting in the middle of the page with my credit card, had a charge for the Government Finance Officers Association annual membership for autumn and a Scribe annual subscription. Scribe is a tool that allows us to capture our screen while we're doing a process so that we can make an SOP out of that. Trello annual membership and a webinar for the accounting technician. We also have on this page Dan's credit card. He purchased a tire inflator with a gauge and a ratchet. We have David's credit card with a lot of the routine items like a monthly fee for the climate controlled indoor storage, monthly Adobe subscriptions, a webinar for the HR and risk generalist, water for the field, and decorative bollard covers for the office parking lot. And we have Sarah's credit card with the CSDA Spring Conference registration for Director Fick. Registration and hotel. Annual Dropbox subscription, airfare for General Manager Johnson for CSDA Legislative Days. CRWA California Rural Water Association registration, airfare and lodging for compliance coordinator. Zoom annual subscription, Water 101 and Watershed Tour registration and airfare for Director Doolittle and CSDA registration for Director Doolittle. So there was quite a lot going on there. And we also have on this page USA Blue Book with a Grundfos chlorine pump and Van Dyke Corp moving the excavator to the shop. And I believe that's something we'll be using the new dump truck and trailer for, right? Or is not the excavator is the one that we can't?
That's the only piece.
That's the only piece we can't. Okay. I take it back then. Questions on page 18? Right. So page 19, we just have one transaction up there at the top, a meter upgrade reconciliation refund, which we do. And the total for this not February, what month are we in?
April.
I just went back in time. So for the April check register, $403,170.26. And then moving on to the payroll register on page 21. That one is for the payroll processing fees totaling $1,101.05. And the rest is the FSA, which is the, again, make sure I say this right, the employee benefit where the employees set aside funds from their paycheck pre-tax to pay for health and dependent care expenses. They can, and then they get reimbursed. Questions on page 21? 23, we're on the utility refunds. All right, so for the utility refunds, you'll notice this is a long list this month. These are our routine checks as well as stale checks that we process once a year. So when those checks haven't been cashed for over 6 months, we void them. We either apply a credit to an account if we can find another account that the customer has, or if we find new mailing information, we'll reissue a check and mail that to them. So that's what you see there, all that activity. Questions on that page?
I see that they were dated the 10th of April, but would it be helpful to say how old these checks are, the date of the check? You're canceling?
Yeah, the software doesn't give us that
Okay,
information.
obviously, yeah,
Yeah.
wouldn't hand do it, obviously.
Yeah, when we extract it and drill down into it, we can get that information, but we can't.
How old?
Register here.
But how old are they?
They are at least 6 months old or older.
or older.
Or older.
Yeah, okay.
But since we do it once a year, they shouldn't be, generally, they shouldn't be older than a year old, so.
Oh, okay, right, right.
Once a year.
Okay, that helps. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and surprisingly, sometimes, checks are generally stale after 6 months, but sometimes banks will actually cash them after that time, and so, that becomes a little bit of a hassle to deal with. Anyway, so this is an annual process for us.
Okay,
Pages 24, 20, and 25, we have the director's stipends. Some routine meetings there, and looks like all pretty much meetings there. Meetings, WI meeting, questions on those pages. Right, well, that is our April 2025 check register. And no more questions, I'll turn it back over to you.
Hearing none. Citizens Advisory Council Chair David Carrillo, do you have any comments on the check register?
Sounds straightforward, and thank you for keeping track of everything.
Is there a motion from the board to approve the April 2025 check register?
I'll make the motion.
A second?
I'll second.
Thank you very much. We do a voice vote on that one? All those in favor of approving the check register for April, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Item B, renewal of GeoViewer software subscription services, professional services agreement. Without that. Presented by General Manager Johnson, Director of Finance Ann Roman, and Director of Administration David Shook. If you please.
Thank you. This is more of a housekeeping item, but a good item to bring back to the board periodically so that you can see the services that are being paid for in that check register. GeoViewer is software that we use from Nobel, and we tonight have Balaji here from Nobel to answer any questions that you have. We've been using this product since 2018. We have an API with Encode, so the finance software, the customer service component, to GeoViewer. So if a customer calls in and needs service at their house, then a service order is placed and sent out to the field, and they take care of the service order. And then that information comes back into our billing software. That is one of the key items that this service offers, amongst many others: work orders, dig alert management, and maintenance management, inventory management, project costing, water loss tracking, etc. It does a lot for us. It's our mapping system, so we keep track of all of our assets in the system. We are now, and I think we're at meeting number 10 this year with GeoViewer to update our software and make it work more customizable for our district. And so we are in the process of those meetings and making the workflows in that system work for us much better so that we can provide better reporting and help us with our state reporting as well. Balaji, do you have anything you'd like to add at this point?
Yeah, in addition to that, we are also helping district on maintaining the GIS data periodically, like whenever there is a new CIP projects or new pipes installed, we are putting everything in the GIS.
So any of our assets that are installed, like Balaji was saying, pipeline, valves, meters, they all get added to the system so we can keep track of all of the different assets that we have out in the field. This is a great partnership for us. It's not been without issues as you have with any technical software, but Balaji's team has been really good about working with us to resolve those systems. We're going to be more satisfied with the product as we finish up this meeting series that we've had. We've been meeting quite a bit. Right now, Kenny has been working the last 2 meetings with them on the production side to get all of the reporting and maintenance items in the system. Other than that, that's the end of my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anything from other folk on that?
But every day.
This kind of old news, isn't it? This, we must have it,
Yes.
period. David Fick, do you have any comment?
Nope. Sounds good to me.
Director Charlesford?
No, I might note for the public that the fiscal impact was almost 89,000 a year, but it sounds like money well spent.
Director Short?
Yeah, it sounds like an easy one. I mean, I would have killed for something like this when I was in the military.
Oh,
No, I was a maintenance chief, so it's something like this would have saved me a lot of time, so I know how important.
AC Chair David Carrillo? So correct me if I'm wrong. It's required by the state or somebody like that, that we have to monitor and maintain our fire hydrants, which there's some 1,400 of them, I think. Sometimes I don't remember that and I say 16. So Kenny goes out and he finds, digs, whatever, where the valves are. Usually they're in the street straight out from the fire hydrant. One of them is going to shut off the hydrant itself. Maybe the other one shuts off farther down the line, something like that. So he then logs this in the GeoViewer system. I'm not sure if it's SCADA or the GeoViewer thing, but he actually maps that in that, and he hits the send button or the save button or whatever. And then that would go to Jake and Justin. And they would have a tablet, and then they would go out to these sites, and then they would bring the big truck with this got that. Remember, we saw that in the parking lot or out in the street out here one day. And they would attach to the valves down below and measure torque. They would do it any number of times and stuff like that. And then they would log in the tablet, the GeoViewer, that they've done that, and any statistical stuff that they have to put in there. And then that's available then for everybody to evaluate as to whether it has to be servicing or not. And then also a report is made, and then that goes off to the state and Water Resources Control Board or somebody. And then everybody's happy, and then we get to spend money on new valves and have somebody go out and paint the fire hydrants. So that's also a way of knowing that things have been done. Plus the feather-like flags are still in the street for a while. Is that pretty close?
It's an element of it, correct, yes. So that's part of when you talk about the asset management. And Balaji speaks of the GIS. So the GIS system recognizes all the assets that allows the staff to go out to that particular asset, whether it be a fire hydrant, pressure reducing station, valves, and they could pull up that asset, do that work, log it, and then it's stored into the historical is stored into the system, or you can create another work order from that too. So your explanation is a part of that GeoViewer when it comes to asset management.
So with that GeoViewer, would that also only bring up the ones that need to be tested, or would it bring up all of them?
Both. It could do whatever really you want it to do. The data is in the system. It's just how the operator wants to pull out the data and what information he wants to pull up with the data. But yes, in a perfect world, like for a valve maintenance program, if you have so many valves that you want to exercise in a month, that's part of the meetings that general manager is referring to, that we're setting up where we can have, if you click on June of 2025, it'll pull up 145 valves. These are the valves we want to turn for this month.
Okay, yes.
So it's just a small element of what GeoViewer does for the district.
How do these valves, how do they deteriorate? In other words, do they deteriorate by age? Is there anything other than metal in these valves?
Well, no, they're basically epoxy coated cast iron valve. However, that's the whole idea of when you exercise them, that they'll typically last a long time as long as you have a robust exercise program. If you don't have a exercise program, that's where you typically run into problems where the valve won't close or open properly. and it breaks. So this is the system we use to manage that valve exercise program.
And then they isolate leaks.
Yes.
Also, and when those valves aren't exercised, in the old days, I don't remember if you had the truck then or not, but there was the T-handled wrench that was about maybe 4.5, 5 feet long, and it had a T-handle on it that was 4 feet wide, something like that. It's been a long time since I've seen it. And it can be a real struggle to open and close those things. And that's bad when you have water running like a river down the road. That's the essential thing. I like bringing this out because the public doesn't realize necessarily where all of their money goes. And even that the water company is responsible for fire hydrants and how many there are. So I thought I'd bring it out. Is there a motion from the board to authorize the general manager to execute the GeoViewer professional services agreement?
I'll motion.
Thanks, Dave.
I'll second.
We have seconds. General Manager Johnson, a roll call, please.
President Lowen,
Aye.
Director Fick,
Aye.
Director Jarlsberg,
Yes,
Director Shorter.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Motion carried.
We'll see you soon.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sarah. Bye.
Item C, cross connection control plan. General Manager Johnson, Director of Administration David Shook, and Water Quality Specialist Kenny Ware. Please.
Thank you again. So tonight we are bringing you the cross connection control plan. This is Kenny's first presentation. We really appreciate him doing this for us. And he's also responsible for a cross connection control plan as our water quality specialist. So we're going to help him along since he's not done this before, but he's very, very knowledgeable on this program. And I'm going to let him take it away and we're going to work with David.
Bear with me. The recommendation is the adoption of resolution 25-1076. And the purpose is to approve the newly revised cross connection control plan. Some background on this. Title 17 of California Code of Regulations mandates protections against backflow. It was established by the California Department of Public Health in the 1970s. It prevents contamination of potable water supplies, and it's been updated periodically to reflect the evolving practices and technologies. The new plan replaces Article 8 of JBWD's rules and regulations. The most notable changes were made in 2024, changing it from Title 17 to the Cross Connection Control Policy Handbook. What is backflow? Backflow is the undesirable reversal of water flow in a plumbing system, potentially allowing contaminated water to enter a clean water supply. Some examples of backflow or cross contamination up there. And the most common one we see out here is going to be the garden hose left in a pool. And then you see the direct attachment on the garden hose right there. It's either a cleaning chemical or a gardening chemical. Your utility sink with the hose directly connected to the faucet. And then the barrel of chemical with the hose in it.
ooh,
We had a good time looking for those pictures.
ooh.
How can backflow happen? When your home or business is connected to the public water supply and it's not protected by a backflow device, if we have a leak on our distribution system near outside your home, it causes a reversal in flow due to the loss of pressure, which sucks all that water out to that leak. It's going to pull all the water in your plumbing system and it wants to escape through that leak. Different types of devices. You may or may not have seen some of these. The first one is going to be a pressure vacuum breaker or a PVB, and this device is used for irrigation only. Next one is a spill resistant vacuum breaker. Again, this one is used for irrigation, but this one is used indoors because it does not discharge water. The next device is a double check valve, and this device is used for non-contaminants. Last but not least is the reduced pressure principle or the RP, and this device is used for health hazards or contaminants, and it's what the district is moving towards to make the standard. And a couple of reasons for that is one, it's the most protective device you can use. And two, this is the only device of the four that you can visually see when it's failing. So you don't have to wait for its annual inspection to find out that it hasn't been performing like it should. Cross-connection control policy handbook key elements. So here's a few things that separate the policy handbook from the old Title 17. One is oversight, and it's led by a cross-connection control specialist. Next is authority. It's state mandated, and the authority granted by the board's adoption and codification into JBWD's rules and regulations. We got hazard assessments. A comprehensive hazard assessment is due to the state. So our plan is proposing that we will physically visit and do a hazard assessment at every parcel in the district. And we have 5 years to do that if they have approved the plan. And these hazard assessments are ongoing. It's not a one-time hazard assessment. So if we see any changes on the property, we have to revisit it. Backflow prevention. It's going to be mandatory at all new service connections and testing and maintenance standards. Incident response. The new policy has procedures to manage backflow events. Public education. Customer awareness campaigns in our newsletters and our social media. And David actually has already updated our website with a direct link from DSI with backflow education. And last but not least, enforcement measures. These are going to include fees, service suspension, and or property liens. And while the property liens are uncommon, it's within our rights, especially to protect the safety of the community. So this is effective July 1st, just a couple weeks away. And the next steps with the board's adoption will be to submit our plan to the state and wait for approval. It will incorporate any modifications required by the state and provide authorizations to the general manager to make the appropriate changes or updates as required by the State Water Resources Control Board. This concludes my presentation. Thank you for allowing me to teach you about cross connections. I'll answer any questions to the best of my abilities.
Wish I could do that. Questions from the board, Director Fick?
What side of the meter do these go on?
It's best to place them directly after the meter. That way it's not in between the meter and the house and there's more room for protection.
Okay, and are these, how many are out there now?
I believe we have just over 500 in the system now.
Are they put on suspicious places or is it just sort of sequence?
No, it's based on the hazard assessment done at the property. A lot of the properties with swimming pools have the autofill, so that triggers a need for a backflow.
You want to talk about the current practice that we're doing with taking the water use questionnaire and with
Yeah. So with doing this plan, we actually figured out that we're kind of a little bit ahead of everything. So each new customer fills out a water use questionnaire. And if they don't have any type of swimming pool or fire sprinkler system or anything that would alarm me to do a hazard assessment, it's considered done and it gets sent off to the side. And anything that does have any type of hazards gets sent to me and I physically go to the property and walk it and do an assessment.
Okay, and the district pays for these units?
They do not.
So the customer pays for that
It
unit?
is on the customer based off their use at their property.
And how expensive are these?
So I did reach out to one tester / installer. He's probably one of the more expensive ones. And his cost is between $1,200 to $1,400 for the installation, the device, and the first test.
Their annual testing thereafter that they would have to pay, and we notify them of that annual test when it's due.
I would assume just a regular residential property without a pool might be in the safe ground of things.
Absolutely.
If it's an older build, but if it's a new build, then it would need it because of the fire sprinkler hazard, because new builds have fire sprinklers.
That's a separate meter.
No, San Bernardino County requires any new builds to have fire sprinklers on them.
Yeah.
So any new meter or new home build will need a backflow device.
Okay, but if I understand, the sprinkler systems are on a separate meter or are they the same meter?
The same meter for residentials. Some larger, like businesses have larger separate fire fire flow systems, but on a residential, it's the same meter.
That's all we got.
Director Earlsberg?
Oh, shoot, I had a question. Can we go to?
Hi, no.
I gotta remember what
I
the
don't have any
question was.
questions.
I'll get it in a minute. No, that wasn't it.
Are we still working on Jane here? I missed some.
I
No,
think.
I would say, do
No,
you
I
have a
don't have any
question?
questions.
Oh, he doesn't.
You
have a
asked
question.
mine.
I've talked too much already.
No, I dated. Took a minute. Yeah, same thing.
Oh, I know one of my questions. Is that PowerPoint going to be on the website?
No, but we are going to have some outreach materials that we'll be adding to the website, handouts, and some for Kathleen as well.
Cause I'm wearing my Stacy hat. There was one slide there that looked blank, and then when I looked closer, there was white pipe on it.
So it's the different types of devices.
Yes, which is an important part. And so I didn't know if it was gonna be reused, you know, to have the type darker or something.
No,
It looks better up close.
Pardon?
It looks better up close.
I'm sure it does, but from across the room, at first I thought it was blank, and then I started seeing something.
That was my fault, sorry.
Oh, okay,
Changed it.
Did you?
It's my fault. Sorry,
okay,
it's my fault.
no fault. Well, it was just,
It's not going to be used again, but if it is, we'll definitely change that.
yeah, okay. Otherwise, I don't really understand it a lot because it's rather technical. I think Director Fick obviously understands it better than I do. But for instance, I have a neighbor that I just discovered there's a bad leak on their irrigation in their front yard, but I know they only have 1 meter. And we just turned the water off to the whole house to stop the leak. Is there danger of that kind of a situation? It was really a bad leak. It's undermining a big tree. I was afraid that tree might even fall over if it keeps going.
There's other issues with that are probably a danger, but as far as the cross connection aspect of that, typically no, because a lot of the gardening out here, it's all desert plants, so there's no chemicals used like Marigold Road.
Yeah, that's
that. So I would say no, but that would be something that would trigger the hazard assessment that would make me walk the property to make sure.
Okay, well, it's empty and for sale, and I happen to know the owner who's in San Francisco, and he was totally unaware.
I would say no, then.
Okay, so you want to know the address? No.
Later.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a motion from the board to adopt resolution 25-1076, adopting the newly revised cross connection control plan?
A motion.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you very much. General Manager Johnson, a roll call.
President McClellan,
Aye.
Director Fick,
Yes.
Director Charlesburg,
Yes,
Director Short.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Carried.
Thank you, Kenny, for your first presentation down.
You got to go on easy one.
We're just folks. Next item, public hearing to consider the water availability, that's standby charges for fiscal year 25-26. Director of Finance and Roman.
Thank you very much. We share my screen, the right one. Okay, good. All right. So this is another, essentially a routine matter. It's a substantial item, but it is something that we do annually. This is the water availability standby charges public hearing. Tonight, we are, our recommendation is to adopt a resolution number 25-1075 that establishes the water availability charges for the coming year and authorize collection by San Bernardino County. Let me give you a little bit of background on this item. This has been in effect since 1982 in this form and since 1965 in its initial form. It was actually one of the earliest resolutions that the district did, is my understanding. And it's been unchanged since 1996. These charges are authorized under the Uniform Standards Procedure Act, Standby Procedure Act, and no rate change or methodology changes proposed tonight. Such changes would require a Proposition 218 vote. So we do, in our annual report that is on our website, it's available on the website, also a abbreviated version of it is in the packet. We do have a description here of the benefit that the parcels receive for this charge. There's a general and a special benefit. All properties within district receive a general benefit by virtue of the existence of the district in its sole power to purchase, extract, and sell water within its boundaries. Properties within the district also receive a special benefit due to the availability of the Supplemental State Water Project water source. The adoption of and approval of the standby charge predates the passage of Prop 218 by the state's voters and follows the methodology and rates existing before the adoption of Prop 218. There's a little more information here about a little more detail about how those charges are developed. I won't go into that unless there are some questions, but we also have, for example, here the billing matrix on the left. It is a little bit complex, determining how these charges are calculated. It takes into consideration whether they fall into Schedule A or Schedule B, Schedule A being parcels up to 1.25 acres, and Schedule B being parcels that are larger than that. And then we take into consideration a district zone, which is different based on whether the parcel is served by a meter, whether the parcel is does not have an active water meter, but is within 1/2 mile of a water main line and in the same pressure zone as the main line. That's zone 2. Zone 3, any size parcel within 1 mile of a water main line and within the same pressure zone of the main line. And zone 4 are all other parcels. So we take into consideration that district zone, we take into consideration the county zone. And with all of those factors, we then are able to determine the charge, the annual charge, which is placed on the property tax roll for collection. Most parcels pay between $30 and $60 per year. Those with acreage pay more. The highest charge, however, is $8,010 to the California Desert Land Conservancy for a combined 1,195 acres. So it's a large parcel or group of parcels. Again, most customers paying $30 to $60 per year. All right, there are some exemptions. However, the history of the exemptions gets a little bit complex. Proposition 218 provides that property owned by local, state, and federal agencies may not be exempted from a benefit assessment, such as the district's standby charge, unless that agency can demonstrate that it receives no special benefit from the services or facilities for which that charge is levied. The district proposes to assess and collect from each benefiting property an amount related to the benefit received. Again, going back, way back, my predecessor, informed me about some of the processes that we went through before Prop 218 came into play. There were some properties exempted. However, that is not the case now for public properties generally. So anyway, again, the exemptions get a little bit complex. Our total charge here is $1,170,164 $1,000.72 to be billed to 11,583 parcels, property owners via the county tax rolls as a result of this approval. And this is, again, a significant revenue source for the district and amounts to about 10% of total revenues. I will note, though, that this percentage is getting smaller as we have not changed the rates or methodology since the 1990s. So it's falling behind a little bit, but it's still a significant revenue source for the district. And it helps spread the burden, as President Flowen usually points out. It helps spread the burden among all of the parcels in the district, the burden of maintaining the system instead of just those connected parcels. The county charges the district 30 cents per parcel to bill, which is a bargain. And that amount is deducted from the total remittance. So in this packet, you will notice that not all of the parcels are listed. They are listed on the website with their charges. And this packet includes a QR code and a web link or a website URL so that anyone can access that complete information on our website. It's 290 pages with all of the parcels included, so it was a little bit large for the packet, which is why we hated it. And let's see, oops, just skipped past that. So again, we have a resolution, if this is approved, that we would like to ask the board to adopt. And as a result of this vote, standby revenues of $1,170,165 rounded will be billed to JBWD property owners via the county tax rolls as a result of the approval. And we are now at the point where, I did want to mention this was advertised, this was published in High Desert Star, this public hearing for June 6th and June 11th. And following this report, a public hearing will be opened and conducted. And I will turn it back over for any questions, and then we can move into the public hearing. Thank you.
Director Ficht, well, thank you.
To do the public hearing before questions.
That says
I'm just going by
questions first,
the,
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's always, I don't know, we've always done that before board.
I'm going by the,
Hearing before director comments.
Before the vote, yes.
Sorry, the audio cut out just a little bit.
Is the public hearing held before the board has their comments?
The public hearing can be opened after the board comments.
Okay,
so the agenda is correct.
yes.
Okay. Back to Director Ficht.
Okay, so you say this hasn't been visited as far as increasing the rate since the 90s?
Correct, correct, because that would require a vote. It would require a vote of all the parcels in the district, and it is not anticipated that.
we want to do that.
It's difficult to get folks to levy a charge upon themselves, even though for most it is a very minor charge.
Yeah, and probably most don't even notice it, I guess.
Right.
True,
Okay.
yeah. Director Jarlsberg?
The charge seems reasonable. I mean, even though the percentage goes down, as the cost of living goes up, but it still seems like a reasonable number. I don't think thered be a reason to change it anyway, so I don't really have a question.
Well, a vote like that would cost, what, $50,000 or something like that?
Oh, probably more. I've seen them. The only one I've ever seen is in 29. It was $101,000.
I don't think we'll ever touch it then.
It would cost $1 million plus if it was unsuccessful.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
1,170,000.
Oh, so if a ratepayer wanted to look up their parcel number, where would they find that?
They will find it on the website. It's under the, I can probably find it for you, but it is, if you follow that, URL, let me read it out.
There's a little blue thing there, right? They could click on that.
There's a QR code, at the very last page that's in the packet, page 86. For the full parcel listing, you can go to HTTPS, tiny URL standby 2526.
Yeah.
And that will take you to the full 290
Mhm.
pages with the list of each parcel's charges.
Oh, good. All right.
It's on our tax.
I'm sorry,
I think it's on the tax.
it is on the tax bill, but this is the proposed charges for next year. Yeah.
Yeah, we have to approve it. So I'm gonna say this anyway, because it's tradition. We need the $1,170,000. And we currently get the money from 11,000 property owners in round numbers. And if we did not get it from them, we need the money, so we would have to get it from the 5,700 ratepayers,
Right.
which is gonna go, boom, you know,
It would
the
increase the rates overall.
spread cost. There, it's done. I'm surprised you remember that. Not that I'm underestimating you. In any way.
You got it.
Okay, I will now open a public hearing for comments regarding water availability charges for fiscal year 25-26. We're doing that at 5:57. Are there any public comments? Hearing none, the public hearing regarding this matter is now closed. Is there a motion from the board to adopt resolution 25-1075 establishing water availability charges for fiscal year 2025-26?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you, thank you. General Manager Johnson, a roll call, please.
President Flowin,
Aye.
Director Fick,
Aye.
Director Jarlsberg,
Yes.
Director Short.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Motion carried. Reports and comments for informational purposes only on subjects covered by the agenda. The opinions of individual directors are not necessarily the opinions of the board or on a district staff. No action will be taken. The board may provide staff with requests for future agenda items. Director Fick.
Okay, well, besides all the usual stuff, I did go to the ASB SDA DST dinner. What's today? Monday night. And it was put on by the Chino Basin Water Conservation District, and I had the forethought to sit right in amongst the presenters because it was closer to the screen and they looked talkable. And they were the Water Conservation District, and I noticed a lot of districts in these dinner events are calling themselves conservation as opposed to just a regular water district. So I asked them what they did, and they said, well, they do storage of water. And these, so I asked them, okay, you watch the water go into the ground. So that's what they do. And I did talk to both presenters. The main presenter was Maya Dean, and Monica Corral is the one I talked to the most. And what this was about community engagement. They do have a community center, and this is in Montclair. And by now, everybody in those meetings know I'm the son of the mayor of Montclair in 1958. When all these things happen down to Chino, Rancho Cucamonga, close to Montclair. In fact, that might have been Montclair. So anyway, their presentation was about Mexican bingo interaction with the community. Now, I didn't know this, but Montclair is 75% Latino or Latino identified, which that's a surprise to me because back when I was there from 56 to 62, we were all white. I'm sorry, that's the way it was because it was in a brand new suburb. And okay, the Navajos were right next to me. I was a neighbor. So anyway, this is called Loteria. and it's Mexican bingo. And what they do is they educate the community about water needs. And in this, the Mexican bingo is, Loteria, is they have images, but it's both in the cards, well, they look like bingo cards, kind of, except for there's images and announcements of, in English and Spanish, what the association is. There's plants, mountains, birds, all kinds of things. And so it really educates the community about water conservation. So that was award-winning on this, and I talked to the group quite a bit. And then just the novelty of it, they were going on about the Latina Chicano genre, I'd say. And so I was able to include, although I don't look at, I've actually had Cheech Marin at my house, and I wasn't there. So my late wife had the famous information to Cheech Marin, he was seeing artwork that he'd never seen before of his favorite artist. And my wife called me. I didn't answer the phone. I was busy helping somebody move back in 2019. And so she had to tell Cheech, Dave's not here. Look it up. Big one. So that's about it on that.
That's good.
You have to be of that era. They also, in the engagement with the 4 people who are all the presenters on this, they all now know that Joshua Tree has a lot of water. Well, some, and we have a chromium-6 problem. And I was telling them that there's some hope in some of the things we're doing. And that's about what we're doing out here instead of just watching water go in the ground. I'm done.
Thank you, Charlesburg.
I don't think I did anything. I mean, water related. I got a new dog.
You went to Landers with me.
Oh, yes, we did that. It was a little hard to hear because the swamp cooler was on high and it was 90 degrees inside and kind of humid. But, and we had a sheriff and 2 fire captains, I think they said, and Supervisor Don Rao was there, made some rather boring announcements. Glenn Harris was there to back her up, and then the representative for Lakey, young woman, who I had not met yet. I meant to connect with her after the meeting, but neglected to do that, but I hope to follow up on that at some point. But it was kind of a mini Mac again. And so there were a number of reports from these folks. I think it's well worth going to, even though it kind of appears to be just for Landers folks, but really there are quite a few people from around the area, maybe the Mesa and Yucca and things like that. So it's well worth going to. Oh, and Marina West was there also. So there was quite a representation of the people that run important aspects of this Morongo Basin, and a chance to ask them questions too. But they need to do something about their swamp cooler system. But I think they're a little light on money right now because they're still working on getting legal, the 501c3 legal, which is in the works. But it's worth going to.
Oh, yes. Director Short.
I attended the MWA meeting on June 12th. They actually covered quite a bit on it, but they always go through it so quick in the board meetings, and you have to get on the agenda and look at the presentations to get the finer details on these. It's one of the things I appreciate about our meetings. So we always have a lot more information in them, I think. Some of the highlights were they received their job vacancy report as we did last meeting. They approved task order 3 with the California Rural Water Association for an amount not to exceed $200,000 in support of the Small Water Systems Assistance Program. They approved a joint funding agreement between them and the Water Resources Program, and USGS. And they voted to approve their 25-26 budget with estimated revenues at $100,666,563 and total expenses at $93,218,460. That's it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I went to the Landers Homestead Valley community meeting also. When Dawn Rao reported, she mentioned that they were gonna have an event over here on the 11th at the park on Sunburst there. And one of the things she said was help for utility bills. And when I heard that piqued my interest. And so I went over there on the 11th.
Good.
And chatted with the people that were relative to that issue, which we don't count. We're not considered a utility for some reason. However, they had some useful, helpful things for folks that are struggling. And so I picked up a handful of pamphlets and information sheets and stuff from a very helpful person there. And they had about at least 8 tables there with different subjects there, with 2 people at each table, plus the traveling van was out front also. It was a big deal. And so all of that information, I gave it to community outreach person Kathleen, and she's going to go through it and use whatever is relevant and potentially put the material in her war bag so that when people come and talk to us at the market, she'll say, hold on a second, and she can go and pick out a flyer or something like that for folks. I also, last Saturday, I guess it was, I went to the Copper Mountain Mesa board meeting out there. They have a separate board out there, and they kind of care about the bond. Is it a bond or a loan? I forgot.
It's a bond.
It's the bond where they separately joined the district and built their system out there. I went out there specifically to tell them about the rate increases. So I said my farewells to Kathleen and drove out there last Saturday, thinking that they are a spirited group out there, which I thoroughly enjoy. And I was anticipating some arguments or complaints and I got none from them whatsoever. They understood everything. I gave them the rate schedule year by year, the rate schedule. I made 7 handouts and gave it to them so they can actually see the numbers and all of that kind of stuff. And they appreciated that. I talked to them answered a couple of questions for 10 or 12 minutes and went back to the market. And so it went very well. And I try to include them in as many of our activities as I possibly can. Went to their breakfast to sat with somebody that we talked to at our booth that we had there, our emergency preparedness booth. They were very pleased to see me since I gave them a flashlight at the thing. But anyway, that went well. General Manager's report.
Okay, the urban water management plan that's coming due to the state next year is getting kicked off. Or if you remember, we're doing a regional approach with Mojave Water Agency and working on getting some dates for myself and staff to go up and get that project going. So we'll be getting that sometime near August. The budget that was adopted last meeting, you'll have an official budget document ready toward the end of this month. And we'll make sure that gets placed in your mailboxes so that you can have a hard copy. And then next week, here's the kickoff of the audit.
Yeah.
It's back.
Time again.
It's that time of year. Other than that, business as usual.
Mike? Ask a question? Oh, yes, by all means.
Okay, I got a question.
Sure.
A couple months ago, we had that issue with CalDOT where they drilled through one of our
Oh,
main
yeah.
lines.
I
Do
wanted,
you have an update on that?
yeah.
Not exactly. I have a little bit. Dig Alert was not called. We do that. We've gotten a hold of the contractor that's responsible, and we have received a preliminary quote from a contractor to fix it.
Mhm.
So we do know that if they didn't call Dig Alert, it's a big deal, and that we'll have to bear the burden of the expense, but get reimbursed from the company that hit it.
That was for Caltrans, wasn't
They
it?
were a subcontractor.
Yeah, Caltrans.
They actually mentioned that at the landers meeting too, that incident, but about Dig Alert. You
One
know,
of the things that's troubling is that we learned is we did submit an incident report with Dig Alert, and we received a response that it's been filed, but that they were not going to investigate it due to lack of resources.
oh,
Wonderful.
Is that a private concern, Dig Alert?
No, it's a public concern. Dig Alert's everybody in California uses Dig Alert if you do any underground or earthwork. So if you were going to dig it even at your private property, you need to call before you dig because
It's a state agency?
it is a state agency, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. It's considered state.
It's regulated. Do you know that? It's funny when you call there, it doesn't feel like a state agency.
No.
It seems a little,
California law, all before.
right,
yeah.
so.
A question I have, there's a project that was announced as to comments for the Joshua Tree Resort, which is this 40-acre parcel adjacent to Joshua Basin Water District. And they didn't notify anybody about the initial study circulation a while back in, I think it was April. Yeah, April to middle of May. Now they have another comment period regarding the initial study. They changed county planners because the other previous one was pretty bad, because he was a Lovemore guy. And
Well, that's the,
yeah, so now we're having to have comments on it by July 16th. So does this district do comments on this project?
I will have to work with Jeff on that question. I don't know the answer to that. There are some things that we can and some things that we can't. So I don't know we'll have to talk and find out what we can do on that one. And then one last thing too, regarding Lovemore, we finally did receive a development request for, and
form.
one form for all the meters, but that's not how it works. You have to have the parcel subdivided before you can apply for meters. That hasn't been done yet. It's still one parcel. So it was sent back to them with, the instructions of how they would have to move forward, and understanding that it has to come to the board because I can only approve up to 10.
Is this Merrill Johnson doing it?
I don't think so.
They're the engineering firm for Lovemore.
No, I think that the gentleman,
Axel Kramer.
Axel, that's who it came through.
I hear nothing further. Oh, the corrected item 9 is a closed session. So we'll pause the regular meeting. The subject matter will be a conference with legal counsel regarding existing litigation. But we have a government code section that empowers us to have a closed session. And the second item will be a conference with legal counsel on anticipated litigation. So now. All righty then, the closed session has concluded. 1850 hours. Have it. And we are back in regular session again, and we have a report out from our district's attorney, if you please.
Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep.
Perfect. So for closed session item A, there's no reportable action. For closed session item B as agendized, the board on a motion duly seconded voted by a vote of 4-0. Director Flowen, Director Jarlsberg, Director Short, and Director Fick voting aye, and Director Doolittle absent. They voted aye to deny the claim of John Scully, with general counsel directed to provide legal notice of such action.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Let me dig for a moment. Look familiar. Let music playing when I do this.
Special meeting.
Oh, we'll have to adjourn this one.
Oh, that's right.
I have a thing somewhere. We'll fake it. Good evening. Here we are again. This is it.
Adjourn the first meeting.
Oh, I forgot to do that. I hear a motion to adjourn the regular
So moved.
meeting. Second?
Second.
Okay, meeting's adjourned at 6:53. Thank you, General Manager. And now, special meeting of the Board of Directors for June 18, 2025. Are we going to do the second pledge?
It is agendized.
Hmm.
I think we can do it.
Okay. Get legal.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Determination of a quorum. General Manager Johnson, please.
President Flowen,
Present.
Director Fick.
Here.
Director Charlesburg.
Here.
Director Short.
Here.
Thank you very much. And Director Stacy Doolittle is on an excused absence. Motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Those in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none. Discussion and action calendar. The board will accept public comments on agenda items before discussion and potential actions takes potential action takes place. Like that. When providing a comment, please state your name and limit your remarks to 3 minutes. This is what it's like without my sketch, by the way. So you'll appreciate from now on that I do that. Item A, authorization to contract with Lane for rehabilitation services at well 15, presented by General Manager Sarah Johnson.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you for accommodating this extra special meeting tonight. This information just came in recently, and we wanted to make sure that we didn't postpone any of the future rehab for well 15. I'm going to pass it to Ray Polish to discuss.
Thank you. Little background on well 15. Well 15 was drilled in March of 2002. I had a completed well drilled depth of 750 feet. At that time, the well was outfitted with a 300 horsepower motor, 440 feet of column pipe. Inside that column pipe are what they call line shafts and tube shafts and bearings, and a 13-stage bowl assembly. According to district records, this was or is the original equipment that was installed back in 2002. As we discussed earlier, back in February, there was a vibration that staff noticed during their daily inspections. The vibration winded up being line shaft bearings that were going bad. That requires the well to be pulled. And when I say well, I'm referring to the pumping equipment. So the pumping equipment is what needed to be pulled. When that pumping equipment was pulled, due to the fact that it's been in the ground for so long, they were unable to unscrew the 20-foot joints. Typically, you unscrew the joint. They had to be cut because they were so badly corroded. And that goes to project number 1 on this agenda item. All the pumping equipment will have to be replaced, meaning all 440 feet of pipe, line shafts, tube shafts, bearings will have to be replaced. The bowl assembly, the bowl is the actual impellers that are down in the well that force the water up, driven by the line shafts from the motor that sits on top of the panel. So project 1 in the staff report includes everything, including the bowl assembly. What does not include is the electric motor. That would be project number 3 in the staff report. The electric motor, again, is original equipment. And we're looking at replacing, instead of repairing the electrical motor, which is probably going to be more than half of a new one, we're looking at getting a new 300 horsepower premium efficient motor. We don't have a hard quote for that, so we're asking the board to allow us to have a $50,000 budget, not to exceed $50,000 for that. The second part of this project is project 2 outlined in the staff report, and this is what they call well profiling. About 9-10 years ago, USGS did some work at the district where they went around and did what they call well profiling, meaning they were sampling the well at different intervals to see if the water quality is different. Well 15 back then indicated that there was better water quality, especially with Chrome 6, possibly Chrome 6 levels that are going to be below the new MCL, maximum contaminant level, or non-detect. So we would like to do what they call well profiling. And this could be very significant for the district if it turns out we could find water that is lower than the MCL where it does not need treatment. So that's what project 2 was in the staff report, and that cost is $51,559.28. And again, money, I believe, well spent, because it could save you millions down the road, especially if there was some work done earlier by the USGS that indicates there could be. So to you made a comment earlier, Director Fick, about hope. And there's hope that we can find better water quality in there that could be very significant for the district. And that could change the treatment dynamics and the strategy of the district.
And if it doesn't, if it doesn't show that it's different at different levels, this is still a lot of waste to do.
Correct.
And that's because finding out the water quality of our well is important to know, especially since we're having out in the open right now. Well, not open, but the well is pulled offline right now. We can find out exactly what's going on with it all the way through the well shaft.
So right now, the intake of the well was about 450 feet deep. That's where the water entered into the column and was pumped up. We could find better water quality at 600 feet. So that's what we want to explore with this well profiling, to see if the water coming in through the formations, there's different formations as you drill down, and being groundwater, depending on what's in that formation, that's what leads to some of these constituents in the water. So if we can find better water, that would be great. And if we don't, again, at least we know, and then we could still make some decisions well in the future. So those are the 3 items that we're asking for approval for from the board. If there's any questions about it, happy to answer.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, no work from Best?
Yes.
Yes, kind of a little side note, the company that's doing the profile is called Best, and it's not a typo, it's actually 2.
Check.
The gentleman that's working for Best, he's the one that did the USGS work years ago, so he's very familiar with the district's wells and the profiling technique. So, they only went so far years ago, it's just kind of like a quick test. This is a more in-depth profiling test of that well.
My question would be, you say it's 450 feet. Is that how far down the casement goes, or does the casement go all the way down to 750?
Casing goes to 750. So in that casing, there's what they call perforations. And that's what lets the water into the well from the formations. Those perforations are at different levels. So if you pump at 450, most of the water's probably coming in right about that 450 mark. And the water down low is not drawn in as much. It's just the hydraulics of where the pump sits. So if we can explore with this profiling and possibly see that there might be better water quality deeper, and then might not require treatment, that's the goal of the profiling.
Okay, so you said it's gonna be refurbished. Does that mean that they refurbish the casement also?
No, casing is not refurbished. We mentioned earlier in the other meeting that there was work done back in April when we did a brush and bail. So when we pull the original equipment out, we send the camera down and it tells us the condition of that steel casing. This is steel casing. And we determined that it needed a brush and bail, and that's just the wire brush that basically goes down and scrapes all the, the tuberculation off the well. So they did the brush and bail, and then we did another video to see the effectiveness of that brush and bail, which was very effective. It opened up those perfs more. So the well casing is 23 years old. It still has some good life in it. But no, it has nothing to do with the well casing, just how the water's coming into the well, the profile.
Okay, well, sounds hopeful.
Director Jarlsberg?
Yeah, a couple of things. First of all, I wanted to say how fortunate we were, and it's part of their job, obviously. Staff noticed an abnormal vibration, and I just think that's great. Because it led to something that was very important, obviously. And it also indicates they're even looking for little tiny things to happen, that might be meaningful. So I just wanted to make a point of that. And obviously we're hopeful, but I have a question. Well, is the BESST an acronym, or is they just,
That's,
I was looking all over for
yeah, that's
what it meant. It's just, and it's all caps.
Yes.
So it's kind of crazy. Anyway, I have heard a fair amount about Granite Company that's negative. And they're saying this is a granite company. Have you, I'm sure you're aware of the reputation also of maybe the larger company that this might be a part of. I'm not quite sure where Lane fits in to.
Yes, so Lane's been around for decades. Granite a couple of years ago acquired Lane.
Oh,
So Lane is a subdivision of
okay,
Granite.
okay.
Lane has been in the well industry again for decades.
Okay, and we have some experience with them
Yeah,
currently.
I have a lot of experience with Lane, and
Yeah.
there's a couple, 3 or 4, drill companies, well companies that are very reputable, including Lane.
Okay, I had to ask that because
Sure.
I've had some in other areas of California, actually, issues with that company, so. Or the larger company, I guess, the umbrella company then. All right, and the bottom line that you're asking us for is let's see, how much money?
So yeah, for project 1 and 2, the total amount is $154,264.44. And project 3, which is the motor, is a not to exceed $50,000 because we don't have a hard quote on that yet.
Right,
And do you remember the number we budgeted for this project?
Yeah, we have 230,000 in 24-25 and 175 in 25-26.
okay, and what was the other question? Shoot. We already made a mention of, we've already paid them over 60,000 for the preliminary work of just taking it apart, basically.
Taking it apart and the brush and bailing process.
Oh, the brushing part
And the video
that you
logs,
mentioned about,
yes.
yeah. Okay, and recording it so you know what's needed and,
Correct.
Can review that.
Based on those video logs.
yeah,
That's what you use to take action on what procedures you may do to the well.
Yeah. So it makes sense for them to continue the work now that they have the information. So, okay. And how long have we known this company?
I've been doing work with Lane over 30 years.
Oh, okay,
And the
okay.
people that came and did a presentation for Kenny and myself, he's been with the company for nearly 30 years.
Okay, so pretty solid then
Yes.
for you guys. Okay. That's all that I have.
Thank you.
Director Short?
Would it be possible for us to see the video logs?
Yeah,
Yes.
That's all for me.
make a date with Lisa and we'll
Okay.
do that.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah, I noticed too that the comment that it was an employee that sensed or heard an unusual sound, and there are other places and other employees that they just figure not my job kind of a thing and keep moving because they got to go to the next thing or whatever. So that we've got some conscientious work going on there, and I caught that right away, and I was very impressed with it too. Just on a technical sort of point, in the staff report near the very bottom, it says that one of the things on the menu is startup testing and documentation. And I see on page 12, which is a Gould's form, in the second to the last paragraph, it says in field performance testing, if field performance testing is required after installation, which apparently that is, factory performance testing before shipment is strongly recommended.
Oh.
And I'm kind of curious as to if they do that or not. I'd love to have all of that pre-tested before it goes into the ground.
If you go to page 9, I know it's a very technical document. Page 9 is what they call a performance curve of the pump. And based on the design of the information, you know, you're talking total dynamic head, that's how much the water has to be lifted out of the ground and then pushed uphill. All these factors go into this formula, and that's how the pump is designed. And if you see that pump curve, there's a little bar there on the right-hand side that says 85.8. So this pump is designed to be 85.8% efficient, which is a very efficient pump. So all those factors go into design, and when it's put in the ground and tested, they look at the pump curve to what it's actually pumping, and they compare that data. But the bowl assemblies are tested coming out of the factory.
And those both assembly parts, are those did I see that in a diagram where they're stacked?
Correct.
And so depending on how much push
Exactly.
you need, you add more of those.
Yep. And in this case, it's a 13 bowl assembly.
I have confidence that Lane is going to do the right work for us. We haven't been using them all along if they weren't satisfactory, in my opinion. Just one director's opinion. We don't have any public here to ask for comments. If nothing further, is there a motion from the board to authorize the general manager to enter into 3 contracts with Lane, a granite company? They have about 8 of them, I think, on their website, for services related to the rehabilitation of well 15.
No motion.
Thank you, David.
I'll second.
Thank you very much. General Manager Johnson, a roll call, please.
President Flowen,
Aye.
Director Fick,
Aye.
Director Jarlsberg,
yes.
Director Short.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If nothing further, or if there is anything further, is there a motion to adjourn the special meeting?
Isn't there director comments or is, no director comments? Can we ask questions?
I thought we did that.
Well, I had some more questions after you got.
Oh,
I
proceed
was
then.
just curious, what percentage of the water district water is pumped by well 15?
It varies just depending on, your pumping strategies, but this particular pump can pump about 950 gallons per minute, which that well running by itself can meet the demand the majority of the year. It's just, with multiple wells, you're creating redundancy in your system. Like right now with well 15 down, the other wells are still able to keep up with demand, so you had that redundancy.
Mhm.
So it's not necessarily a percentage of, but it can meet the total demand of the district on a daily basis if it was running by itself.
Well, the general idea is that if it does have hopefully the proper amount of non-chromium 6, that it would be blended with the rest of the water. But that requires more pipeline too.
Yeah, you really wouldn't probably blend because we're so far apart from other wells, but that would be your primary well because it's your
Yeah.
less expensive water.
Yeah.
Because you're not treating it. So it just changes your pumping strategy. So if you don't have treatment on well 15, but you have in all the other ones are your more expensive water because the treatment costs. So it just changes your pumping strategies where you may pump well 15 more because it's your cheaper water, which just reduces the operating and maintenance costs on the other systems that may have treatment.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Brings up another question. Did you?
I'm done.
More? Then at some point, if we discover that this is cleaner water, and it's cheaper to keep it clean, you turn off well 14, does that satisfy the state's mandate? Kind of thing, we say, well, we're not gonna use the dirty water, we're just gonna use the clean water. Yeah,
Yeah, you want to turn it off. You would most likely still have to add treatment, but again, you're in control of how much loading rate you put on a well that has treatment, which reduces your annual operating maintenance cost. So again, it all comes down to pumping strategy when and if that comes.
okay,
But you would keep your wells only because you want redundancy.
yeah, but I mean,
Yeah, the state
Yeah.
would still require treatment. for
Yeah,
the
that's what-
wells, yeah. Aesthetics,
what,
yes,
what,
yeah.
In a perfect world, that might be.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay, but
But we wouldn't want to be.
the state
reliant
isn't
on one
gonna
well.
allow us to do
No,
that.
no.
Okay.
I have a question, since we're all asking you.
I got one.
Is well 15 the only well that we know of that has the potential to have lower chromium?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I wondered. So if for this period of time, which I assume has been lengthy, that 15 has been offline, and your strategy has changed, and now you're putting a greater burden on the other 4 wells, if we're using all 4. So that means we're using well 14 more, which has a really big pipe. And it takes a lot more electricity to pull water up out of that well. Is that going to impact our already substantial Edison bill just during the time that 15 is down?
It's relative because even though 14 is a higher horsepower and you're using more electric, you're producing more water. So it's not a, 1-to-1 ratio kind of scenario. So, and all the other districts' wells, the last time I reviewed the Edison efficiency reports, the wells were running really efficient from an electric standpoint. They come out here, they evaluate the well, the electricity usage, and they're running efficient. You're only going to get so much out of a well, 75-ish is a good number. You're getting 80 potentially with the
Yeah,
high efficiency bowl assembly, premium efficient motor, and you're in the 80s, you're doing
How long has 15 been down?
since February. So it's been what, 5-6 months?
And the Edison bill has been pretty much 40 to 42,000. I think maybe we dipped down below once. So it, actually, I didn't have to ask the question. It hasn't really impacted us that much.
Yeah, every time you lose a well, you get a little concerned because now you're losing redundancy. And especially with the heat coming, and heat is really bad in electric motors. So you always worry. So we're anxious to get it back online.
Yeah, so what's the ETA? I guess, I didn't hear that.
If we were to give the okay with Lane to proceed tomorrow, you're probably gonna be online within 30 days.
Oh, okay.
Depends on the profiling too.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is the lot of the,
Oh.
but profiling is gonna be about 2 days.
And that's why we wanted to bring it to you tonight, because our next
Totally.
meeting is
Okay.
July 16th.
Are you still digging or can we go home?
For the cost?
Yeah, I think it's usually 40 to 42, so.
Yeah, it was, it looks like, just looking back, I mean, it's not always equivalent, but looking back to the same time frame last year. So the last bill that we paid was for May, was 40,635, and for the same time last year, we paid 43. So yeah, it's similar.
Still high.
Yeah.
So getting back to this, is there a motion to adjourn this special meeting?
I'll make the motion.
And then we had, who's the second?
I'll second.
Okay. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.